Hello and welcome back to Daily Dose of Egyptian. Today we continue on with the tale of the Shipwrecked Sailor, columns 42 to 45. We begin. Sajerku, Chenu, Kap, Chet, Keni Eni Shuit. So we start off with a subject plus dative construction, where the subject is omitted because it's understood what it is. This is better explained in Allen's second edition, 17.16. If you want more information on that. So, I slumbered or I lay down within, literally in the interior of, a shelter of wood or wooden shelter. There's been some minor discourse about what this Kapenchet, this shelter of wood, is. So Blackman translates it as a crow's nest, and Vikentiev translates it as a thicket, with the assumption being that because he hasn't spent that much time on the island, he probably is in something natural rather than built. Still, I have here sort of three examples of how cap is used, because it's not a very common word to see. So starting out with the discourse of the fowlers, we have: the shelters of the hidden ones are under or within, something like that, the grain of the city of the citizens. The second example is from the pleasures of fishing and fowling, where we have: he sits with his crew within the shelter. So whereas in the previous example it's not necessarily clear whether or not this is a built structure, from the pleasures of fishing and fowling it's clear that cap can refer to a built thing rather than a natural thing like the grain of the citizens. Furthermore, also note that the pleasures of fishing and fowling uses this Chenu, whereas the discourse of fowlers just talks about the enclosure itself. And finally, we have the sporting king, something like being happy or being satisfied within the shelter. So there we have a little bit more context of how cap is used. So then we have what's called an adverb clause of prior circumstance. That is, this Kenienf, or Kenieni rather, is using a segmenef to indicate something which is of prior circumstance. To learn more about this, you can go to Allen 18.11 in his second edition. So it means something like, with me embracing, or and I embraced the shadow. It's not entirely clear what this means. Blackman, to his credit, takes it to mean I swooned. But it's probably just some sort of way of him talking about his own despair. And we saw earlier that his heart, or his mind, was his only companion. So he's really very alone. And this is further contrasting because this verb keni was used earlier specifically to reference the sailor arriving in Egypt, embracing his companions, his senenu, of which he now has none.